It's Wednesday, June 24th, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Barbadians must take the issue of mental health more seriously. That's according to Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who disclosed that the country had recorded 9 deaths in the space of 15 months at the hands of alleged perpetrators whose mental health appeared questionable. She made the comments in Parliament yesterday in her contribution to the debate on the private members' business resolution, which touched on the issues of racism and the Black Lives Matter movement.
We have to understand that this country cannot continue to bear the weight of mental health problems anymore. And that there is no disgrace in treating people physically for illness. There must be no disgrace, Mr. Speaker, for treating people mentally for illness. And we have seen 9 people, I believe the Honorable Attorney General reminded me, in the last 15 months, lose their lives in this country. 9 people, at least, at the hands of 3 people whose mental capacity was at the very least questionable, if not more. And Mr. Speaker, that mental health requires more than not being bipolar. It requires more than not being schizophrenic. It requires wellness. And for wellness to happen, it requires first and foremost accepting who you are and loving who you are.
Prime Minister Mottley said the public must settle on the mission that there must be a culture of love and peace in the country.
And if I have to pass judgment on what is the greatest difficulty that we have in this country, it is that we have not sufficiently rooted our families to love each other, to take care of each other, to be peaceful with each other, and to remove the other disorder of public health. Not COVID alone, but violence. But violence. And if we're going to do that, then we must call it for what it is, when it happens, where it happens, how it happens. Yes, for the boot on George Floyd's neck. But yes, for the other little boy who might be shot over a deal that gone bad. Or shot under a tree, Mr. Speaker, like you know and I know, for a gambling disagreement. Or attacking your spouse because your spouse and you can't get along no more. The disease of violence, the public health disorder of violence, is rooted fundamentally out of, in my view, lack of identity.
The head of the Barbados Alliance to End Homelessness is calling for a holistic approach to address the issue of mental illness among her clients. Kima Safri's plea comes amid concerns that Monday's horrific double murder was allegedly committed at the hands of a homeless man who is mentally unstable.
Mental health is a challenge as it relates to some of our clients, and we believe as an organization that the mental health needs to be seriously looked at as it relates to homeless persons. And this is one that we're talking about as it relates to persons that possess mental health challenges, especially that you can see it with the aggression. They're threatening to kill people, they're barking at people, they're approaching people in a way that makes the public fearful. And we need to then address that. I think that also where the government needs to seriously take a look at homelessness again, and there need to be that stakeholdership of organizations that come together that are involving the homeless to be able to come up with solutions and come up with recommendations that see us addressing mental health and also see us address homelessness.
Safri also called on the relevant institutions to lend his organization greater assistance in getting the necessary help for clients deemed to be mentally unstable and a threat to the public.
I think that we are a little bit laid back as it relates to when we make recommendations for persons to be removed, that they're not being removed off the streets and placed into a mental institution where they could be taken care of until they're brought under control, if they can be brought under control. So they have to be removed off the street once they pose a threat to the public or to themselves. So that's the first thing we must look at. But the recommendation as us as an organization that deals with the homeless on an everyday basis, when we make a recommendation, it needs to be acted upon.
In other news, Member of Parliament Trevor Prescott has his say on the controversial Lord Nelson statue at Heroes Square. In a passionate delivery in Parliament on the private member's business resolution yesterday, he made it clear he was in solidarity with Barbadians who called for the statue to be removed.
This debate must not be trivialized. It is no storm in a teacup. I am not going to allow it to be trivialized as long as I have breath in my body. I'm talking like Nelson now, when Nelson tried to ill-treat Wilberforce. And you all want to preserve him. I am not joining no band, in no party, or no friendship to support Horatio Nelson standing at the top of Broad Street as any national hero. Impossible! I can't speak of Buster, who fought for the liberation of black people, emancipation for our people. How can I explain Buster as a national hero? I also respect Horatio Nelson in National Hero Square. One fought for freedom, and one fought against freedom for black people. Explain that contradiction, sir.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In news from the region, the UN Special Representative for Haiti, Helen Lalim, said the COVID-19 pandemic was worsening the already dire economic and humanitarian situation in the country. She told a recent Security Council meeting that 3 months after President Jovenel Moïse declared a health emergency in response to the pandemic, the country continues to struggle to open medical centers dedicated to combat COVID-19.
It's also the result of the initially staunch opposition by local communities to seeing such centers open in their midst, a manifestation of the lingering climate of denial, stigma, and discrimination that exists in the country. In the absence of adequate resources to support Haiti's emergence from the recession in which it is plunged, the hard-won security and development gains achieved over the course of the past decade and a half risk coming undone, and a primarily domestic problem could transform into a regional issue should an already alarming humanitarian situation continue to worsen and increasing numbers of Haitians be tempted to seek better fortunes abroad.
And finally, on the international front, America's top infectious disease expert told lawmakers the U.S. is seeing a disturbing surge in coronavirus infections in some states. A panel of health officials, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, said that the next few days will be crucial to stem the new outbreaks. We get more in this report from Reuters TV.
We were going down from 30,000 to 25 to 20. and now we sort of stayed about flat, and now we're going up.
The country's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, said on Tuesday that the United States was currently seeing a disturbing surge of coronavirus infections.
A couple of days ago, there were 30,000 new infections. That's very troublesome to me.
A Reuters analysis found that the U.S. saw a 25% increase in new cases of COVID-19 last week compared to the week prior, with Florida, Texas, and Arizona experiencing record spikes in new infections.
Right now, the next couple of weeks are going to be critical in our ability to address those surgings that we're seeing in Florida, in Texas, in Arizona, and in other states. They're not the only ones that are having a difficulty.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.